DJ, you go crazy.
Now, I want to just break down some of what you just shared with us. You kept mentioning UNIA.
Yes.
Which stands for Universal Negro Improvement Association.
And African Communities League, 7 letters.
Right. And can you kind of elaborate on exactly what Pan-Africanism is for those that don't know?
Absolutely. I would summarize Pan-Africanism in 4 principles, right? Number 1, all African people are one family. Whether you're light skinned with straight hair, whether you're dark skinned with nappy hair, whether you're in Brazil speaking Portuguese, whether you're in Chicago speaking Ebonics, whether you're in London speaking the King's English, whether you're in South Africa speaking Zulu or Nigeria speaking Igbo, if you're in Kenya speaking Maasai, we one race. It don't matter what the religion is. It don't matter what the nationality is. It don't matter what the complexion is, the hair color, one people. And we believe that we should identify as African people first, above and beyond anything else. So you're not a Christian who happens to be black. You're a black man who happens to be a Christian. And why is that? You chose Christianity. People leave the church every day. People leave the mosque every day. People leave the Jehovah's Witness temple every day. People renounce their U.S. citizenship every day. People become citizens of countries they had no affiliation with every day. But what is the one thing you belong to that you can never change? It's your racial group membership. And who chose your racial group membership? Almighty God. So for us, being African is the most spiritual and it is the most sacred identity you can have because it was fixed by God and you can never change it. So that's number 1, African identity. To that point, we take issue with the current so-called Native American movement against African people in America who say, I'm not from Africa. I was already here. I'm a Cherokee. I'm a Choctaw. I'm a Seminole. This. We completely reject that foolishness. Even though you might have a Native American ancestor or two, I have some Native American ancestors. But guess what? If you have 4 grandparents and 8 great-grandparents and 16 great-great-grandparents and 32 great-great-great-grandparents and 64 great-great-great-great-grandparents and 108 great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents, how many of them was Native American? You're telling me all 108 of your 5 times great-grandparents were Native Americans? That's an absolute lie. You might got some red in your family tree, but most of your family tree is black. If you so Native, why do you look like the same people in Nigeria? If you so Native, why do you look like the same people in Kenya? If you so Native, why do you look like the same people in Togo, in Benin? The Native Americans don't look like you. You look like African because you are an African. But all throughout our history, we have movements that have come up that sought to give black people a false identity because we hate who we are. So for us, we African. We not accepting nothing else. We want, and we will reject everything else. And that also goes for our mixed race brothers and sisters. We accept them. You got a white mother, black father. You got a black mother, white father, but you identify with the race full time, not just on the weekend or at the Dr. Umar lecture, but full time black. We accept you because some of my greatest heroes was mixed race. There's even an argument historically that the great Nat Turner could have been mixed race. So we don't reject people for how they come into the world because you have no control over that. But if you're going to tell me at the same time that I'm not black, I'm mixed race, I'm biracial, I'm quadracial, I'm going to reject you because what you're looking for is a special privilege for the white blood you got in your body. You ain't get no special privileges here. All African people are equal, no matter how light you are, no matter how dark you are, no matter how educated you are, no matter how uneducated you are. If there's any privilege that's going to be given in this movement, it's going to be based on your works to liberate African people, not because of your skin color or your ancestry. So identity. Number 2, self-determination. Everything we do as African people must be done by ourselves. We don't allow non-blacks in our organizations. We don't allow non-blacks to give us money. As you know, I'm working on the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. No non-black money. Why? Because we have to do it ourselves. Why? Because if I build that school and white people gave me the money to build that school, how can we celebrate that as a black institution? Okay, white people built half of our HBCUs. White people built the Urban League. White people built the NAACP. If we really want to be an independent people, if we're really tired of slavery, why are you still looking for your oppressor to finance your liberation? White people will never finance your liberation. If they was interested in financing your liberation, you'd be free already. So self-determination in all things. That includes building family. And that's why we reject interracial relationship. No snow bunny hopping at all. Black family is black man and black woman, and that's the only family that we can accept because marriage is a financial arrangement. Women live longer than men on average. I marry a snow bunny, I die, she gets my bag. Is she going to give any of that money back to the community? Go and ask Kobe Bryant's widow. She ain't thinking about using none of that black man's money to help the black community. Go ask Marvel and Hagler's widow. She ain't thinking about using none of that man's money to go help the black community. A white woman married to a black man is still a white supremacist. And that's why I take issue with Shannon Sharpe and Ochocinco. I love them as black men. They my brothers, but I take issue because you have black boys looking up to you and you're telling them it's okay to publicly declare that you don't date nothing but white women. That's not acceptable, Shannon Sharpe. Now, Ochocinco hasn't said that, but he does tend to bunny hop. We need brothers to stop bunny hopping because it's not beneficial. Only 1 out of every 4 black women gets married in this country. Every time a black man goes out the race to find his partner, you're abandoning another black woman who has a God-given right to have a husband and to build a family. So if we really care about our people, there's no way under God you can tolerate interracial marriage. It's not about hating white women. It's not about hating white men. It's about loving ourselves. Charity starts at home. And if charity starts at home, the black family needs to be built by black people. So that's number 2, self-determination. Number 3, as Africa goes, so goes all African people. This is important because in America, what do you hear Negroes say? Why are we worrying about Africa for? We got our problems right here in America. Well, guess what? You don't stop fighting in America. You fight where you are, but you also keep a vision to what the greater goal is. All people's respect that is accorded to them in this world is a reflection of the respect given to the international homeland. I've been everywhere in the world except Australia, where I'll be next spring. Wherever I go in the world, Chinese are respected. If I'm in Jamaica, they're respected. If I'm in Cuba, they're respected. If I'm in London, they're respected. If I'm in Austria, they're respected. If I'm in South Africa, they're respected. Nowhere I go are Chinese people treated like an afterthought. Nowhere I go are European Jews treated like an afterthought. Nowhere I go, Anglo-Saxons are treated like an afterthought. But everywhere I go, even in an all-black country like Suriname, South America, or Turks and Caicos, the Caribbean island, or South Africa, or Togo, Benin, Gambia, Malawi, everywhere I've been over the continent, black people are treated like an afterthought, even when we are in the numerical majority. Why? Because Africa is not strong. She's the richest continent. She's the most minerally rich continent, but she doesn't control her wealth. The white man does it. Colonialism ended. Neocolonialism runs Africa to this day. So when people look at us, they don't see no American. This is what Negroes get wrong. They don't see no American when you walk down the street. They see an African. They know exactly who you are. And the level of respect that they give you is a direct reflection of the level of respect that is given to all African people. There's no, white people don't put black people in groups. No race divides any race up into groups. The respect you have for Chinese people, you have for every Chinese. The respect you have for Jewish people, you have for every Jewish person. And the disrespectful attitude you have for the African continent is automatically affixed to every African on the planet. Nobody can escape it. Not Jay-Z, not Oprah Winfrey, not LeBron James, not Puffy, not Kanye, not Diddy. Nobody can escape the badge of dishonor that is given to their people. They're just protected because they're corporate commodities who are necessary for the European capitalistic model to exist and thrive. Once they're no longer necessary, they end up like Bill Cosby or R. Kelly. And the last point for Pan-Africanism, and there's many, but the last one, your God better look like you. Marcus Garvey started a doll factory in New York in the 1920s. This is before the Brown versus Board of Education Supreme Court decision. This is before Thurgood Marshall and Charles Hamilton Houston took the racist segregation of school districts to federal court, getting school desegregation outlawed in America. Brown versus Board, May 17th, 1954. 30 years before that, Marcus Garvey had a black doll factory because he said our children constantly looking at Europeans was breeding inferiority. Well, what happens 30 years later? In court, Dr. Kenneth Clark, one of my psychological forefathers, he shows in court that segregated education was harmful to the psychology of black children using the doll experiment. He gave black children white dolls and black dolls. Which one is ugly? Which one is more likely to be more successful? Who do you want to be? Garvey knew that 35 years before Kenneth Clark, and he was not a PhD in psychology. But getting to my point, God must look like you. Because if God doesn't look like you, you're automatically indoctrinating your children into inferiority. If I go to church and I'm told God is white, if God is white, if the Savior is white, if the one and only Son of God is a Caucasian and you teach a black child this, if God is white and you are the opposite of white, you automatically by contraindication is the devil. But not only that, if God is white, then all white people must be godly. And so divinity gets extended to the president, to the judge in court. It gets extended to the police. It gets extended to the business owner, because if God is white, maybe God put all white people in charge. So that white Jesus image that was created in 1482 by Leonardo da Vinci, 10 years before Columbus set sail to the New World, has been the worst weapon used against black people, and it still is. I guarantee you I could go throughout Chicago and find white Jesus still hanging in black people's homes. When I go to Africa, white Jesus still hanging in black people's homes. When I'm back home in Philadelphia, white Jesus. In the Caribbean, white Jesus. That has brainwashed us on a subconscious level to feel inferior to white people. Because if man is inferior to God and God is white, then the black man must be inferior to the white man. Until we destroy artificial European images of supreme consciousness in front of the eyes of black children, we'll never destroy the inferiority complex of black children.
DJ, you go crazy.